I'm Kate Gleim from KatieDidDesign.com, and I'd like to share with you how to create a rice sheath. This method can be used for any type of grass that you choose, and you can kind of see an array of them here. We've got some dyed millets in colors, the rice that we're going to work with today, and some of the beautiful triticum wheat with the black beard on it. So any kind of grass, it needs to be about this length. It can be longer. You can make these sheaths as large as you want. The size after you're going to need to have another person working with you depends on how large your hand is, which you'll see when we tie it. So to begin with, you're going to take a bunch. This is how it comes, generally speaking, in a plastic sheath. And to do the standard sheath that we used in our demonstration, we used 2 bunches. So you're going to take and unbind it, of course, to start with. And you're going to find that there's a lot of this loose stuff mixed in with it. And you want to just kind of run your hands through it and get rid of all that extra foliage that comes with it. It's not too hard on the hands. If you're doing a lot, it gets to be a little bit old, but it definitely has a bit of a bite. So you might wear just some real thin cotton gloves. I love to wear fox gloves, are my favorite ones because they're nice and thin and you can still feel the materials when you work with it. So you're going to just kind of run your fingers through there and comb out all that loose stuff until it's clean. And I've got that all ready to go here, so we can begin. To start with your first bunch, you're going to take and use it whole just as you cleaned it up. And you're going to hold it in your left hand if you're right-handed, and obviously the opposite way for left-handed people. The one thing you have to do is you have to put the pieces in the same way every time. So you're going to decide, you'll figure this out after you've created a few of them, which is the easiest way to do it. But I like to take and twist them counterclockwise, like so. And that twist is what makes them go at an angle so that they will then splay out and you get this nice full top on them versus being very straight up and down like so. So we're just taking and twisting that bunch, keeping those stems pretty much the same length on the bottom. If you've got any pieces that are sticking out too far, you can kind of push them down in there. I like them kind of loose and random. It's easier for one thing, but I like the look of that a little bit less formal than say the way it's done when it's done with the sheath wheat here. So we've got the beginning set here. You're now going to take these bunches. I've taken one more bunch this size and I've divided it up into 5 sections that you can see here. And this is where it gets to be a little bit more difficult. You're going to take, going the same direction that you twisted it, you're going to put that whole bunch in there like so. So now it follows that same line. So take your next bunch and we're going to take, you can see this bunch went here, the stem is going beside it with these heads beside the last one we put in. And then we're going to take the next bunch and put it in like so, so that it's next to that one. And you can see this is coming around to this side. These are still your center ones from the middle. We can finish off with these last 2, like so. And you've pretty much got your rice sheath ready to go. At this point we need to bind it. Your binding point's always where your hand is. So we're taking a wire. This is about a 20 gauge wire. You could use 19 gauge if you wanted to. It needs to be thin enough that you can manipulate it, but heavy enough that it'll hold the stems really well. And that's really going to be somewhere between a 20 and a 19. We're twisting this off, and this is where if you don't have really strong hands, you're going to want your pliers. The really important thing is that when you twist these wires, there's a little bit of a gap there underneath the twist right next to the rice sheath, and you need to pull that gap out. So you're going to pull that wire out like so and twist, and that's going to make it nice and tight so that the rice won't slip. Remember, if you twist it too far, you're going to end up with a bunch of rice all over the ground because the wire's going to snap. And we have our rice sheath ready to go. We'll now take this like so and just gather all of the stems up. Taking your printers, you can also use a really heavy-duty pair of scissors for this. Just remembering that the rice will be hard on the blade, so you don't want to use good ones for it. And cutting those all off the same length, like so. It will now stand up by itself. But they tend to want to spin a little bit and their balance isn't perfect. The more rice you put in there, or any grass, the more it will be able to stand on its own. But with just the 2 bunches in there, I like to stabilize them, and I do that with a river cane. You can use bamboo. You could even use stems left over from a silk flower that you cut. And you're just going to hot glue them in here like so. So we'll take some of our pan glue and run that right inside there. Whoops, got a little bit of a weak spot in that stem. Well, that's not very much fun when that happens. So let's just cut it off again. And we'll glue that in. Cutting this one the same length as the stems are. And 3 makes a great tripod, but tripods have all kinds of wonderful mechanics that make them stand up well. And something like this is far better to put 4 legs in so that you have a nice stable base for them rather than the 3. So I'm equally spacing these in the bottom, 1, 2, 3. And we've got 1 more to go in here. And I'm using pan glue. You could also use glue gun glue if you wanted to. Well, this is not a very good branch. I always tell my classes I get 1 failure a year. Well, we're not going to have a failure here, but we're certainly having our little complications to deal with. And we can cut that off. And then just kind of set it down like that and make sure that all of those legs are touching the base, and your rice sheath is ready to decorate.